Hi everyone, Isaiah here, and this video is going to serve pretty much as an update because as you can see, there's no new episode of the single issue this week, and the reason why that is because Steven and I have had some scheduling conflicts. We tend to get together to record on the weekends, but this past weekend I kind of wanted to focus more on some comic things because that's pretty much our main product, both me and Steven, and I want to make sure that although this is a really fun project to do, the single issue, I don't want that to encroach too much on the process of making comics for us. And so when there's some sort of conflict with that, the comics are always going to take priority there. And the last episode of the single issue, I really enjoyed the style. I was really happy with how that one came out. But it was also pretty much labor intensive as far as doing all of the editing for it. So I think that when Steven and I get together again, we're probably going to change the update schedule that we do for the single issue episodes. Probably slow that down to maybe once every other week instead of once a week, because again, I don't want to get in the way of making comics. And at the time, most of the comics that I make are completely digital. And when my computer is rendering, that means I'm not making comics at the time. But like I said, I really enjoyed the visual style of the last episode, so I want to do more things that look like that and have a better production in general. So the compromise there is that it's just going to have to take a little while longer. On top of that, the scheduling conflicts are going to persist for a little while because I'm actually booked for the next few weekends. This weekend coming up, I'm actually going to be judging VASE, which is the Visual Arts Scholastic event, and I'm really passionate about art education, and that's why I started this channel with Steven in the first place, was because I wanted to do something that was kind of fun that also helped people with understanding cartoons and comics and creating cartoons and comics. So I'm really excited about getting an opportunity to judge for this VASE event. I did the testing and whatnot for it last year, but unfortunately I had some scheduling conflicts with that, and so this is actually the first time that I get to judge that event, so I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to be a very, very long event from my understanding, but it's art is something that I love a lot, and I love having the opportunity to do my part in helping the next generation of artists. Other than that, the weekend after that will be Matsuri, Anime Matsuri here in Houston. It's going to be over at the George R. Brown Convention Center, and I've got a table there. So if you're going to be there, by all means, come by and visit me, chat, and let me know what you think about my comics and about the videos, and we can chat about anything in general, too. And then the weekend after that is going to be the Staple Independent Media Expo in Austin, which is another show that I really love doing. Like I said, it got a lot of things on my plate at the moment that's going to really keep the main episodes of the single issue from coming, but we still have a few episodes of the single issue watches already recorded. So those we should have enough of those until Steve and I are able to get together and record again. Honestly, I want to pick up the pace on those because we have another show that we're going to be watching on there pretty soon, and I think that just maybe more than one of those videos a week is probably a better thing to do, especially since I'm going to be slowing down the main content of the single issue. But there's also some other things that Steve and I have been brainstorming about bringing to the channel. I, for one, want to do things where I talk about some character designs, so you'll probably see some things related to me breaking down characters that I've designed, but I also plan on doing the same thing for shows that Steven and I are currently watching for the single issue watches too. So those are some fun things to look out for, and that also means that there's a lot on my plate, and so I kind of wanted to talk about that because one of the other reasons why I decided the best thing to do is to kind of slow down the single issue a little bit is because I suffer from generalized anxiety disorder, and when I have a tendency to, when I get really busy, I get really absorbed in those things, and it can affect my health both physically and mentally because I'm putting a lot of stress on myself. Um, and I kind of wanted to talk about your health and how it relates to you in your pursuit of an art career, because I keep a schedule for my webcomic Transiltown and even Crackers and White Wine, which I'm a little bit more laxed on. But in general, because I make webcomics, I have a much more lax schedule than people that are making comics full time, because I work a day job where I do data entry and then I come home and I draw, and so I'm pretty much on like almost all the time. And I do things to relax too, but I easily get into this mindset where I'm just on all the time, and it's really easy for me to get self-absorbed, and I stop paying attention to my health. And I used to think that it was this very glorious thing to be this artist that was always creating, and forget your health is the most important thing is to create. But I don't have that mindset anymore. I've had one too many anxiety attacks. I've had a few too many health issues that all stemmed from the anxiety, and it's not a good place to be. And so I've made an effort to try to pay a lot more attention to my health, and it means that I'm not creating at this breakneck pace, but I'm also able to create more because I don't have to take all of these breaks. And just last year, I had a huge injury in my hands, um, because of all the data entry I do for work, and then I come home and once again I draw all night. And I'm making efforts now to try to make my work environment more ergonomic to reduce that. And I really believe that an artist, no matter what kind of artist you are, you should really pay attention to your health. And so when you're a comic artist, if you're drawing on a drafting table, watch your posture. And even if you're drawing on something like a computer, watch your posture there. Pay attention to what your desk is like, because after a while, comics are very labor intensive, and after a while, any bad posture that you have is going to add up, and it's going to become some kind of physical pain for you in the future. And the same thing goes for if you're doing other arts like painting. Be sure that you're paying attention to the kind of pigments that you're using, because a lot of pigments aren't very good for your health, and you should probably understand how you should be using them and follow the safety procedures. And I know it's not cool, but it's just the best if you want to continue to create, because you don't want to be someone who falls dead before they're 50 and there are things that you wanted to make and you've never got to make your great masterpiece. So your health is always going to be important. So I always advise that you pay attention to those kinds of things as an artist. Um, so yeah, that's going to be it for this week. But since there's going to be a lack of the main single issue episodes, uh, if you guys have any questions or anything that you'd like to hear me talk about, let me know in the comments. That would be super fun. Um, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, and also at Staple Independent Media Expo, I'm going to be featuring on two different panels. The first one's going to be diversity in comics, which is a panel I like to do a lot. You'll probably hear more about me doing that kind of panel at other cons in the future. But I'll also be featuring on the Patreon panel, which is something that I also have. And if you're super cool, you can support me there, because that really helps both Steven and I make more episodes of the single issue, and also helps me make comics more frequently. So check that out. There will be a link in the description, and I'll see you guys next week.